How has teamwork played a major role in your success?
It's honestly been everything. I actually almost never hired people to help me. It's just if I needed to do interviews, I'm micing people up, I'm setting up the boom mic, I'm setting up the lights, I'm doing gaffing, gripping, everything myself.
Why is that?
Control, there's a fear when you don't have control of stuff that it's not gonna go the way you want.
Was it hard for you to find clients that enabled you to hire a team?
Anytime someone reaches out to me and asks, how do I find clients or how do I do this, how do I do that? My biggest piece of advice is
So I'm asked all the time how I'm able to achieve a great image, great sound, and great colors. So I wanted to provide you guys with a document that would allow you to produce the same quality within your own productions. So if you check out in the description below, there's a link to my complete gear list where you'll be able to find the same equipment that I'm using to achieve the look and the sound and produce that within your own production. Check out the link in the description below and download my gear list today. Today on this podcast, you're gonna learn the importance of having a team with you on set, whether you're filming weddings, commercials, or movies. And I have the pleasure of interviewing Maurice with MV2 Creative, a local director and DP here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Maurice, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for your presence, bro.
Thanks for having me,
coming
man.
through. And
Yes,
I'm excited for this episode, bro, because I'm a fan of your work. When I saw your work
Thank
and I
you.
was looking at it, I was like, man, this brother is really talented. And when I reached out and you said you would come through, I was like, man, that's dope. That's dope. I'm really looking forward to, because you've have done some things that I haven't done in my career. I've been a solo shooter for a long time, hired people to help me out with shoots here and there. But I've seen a lot of work that some work that you've done with having a team and things of that nature. I guess first question I'll get into, bro, is how does a team or teamwork, how has teamwork played a major role in your success?
Man, it's honestly been everything. So recently I just put out, which I don't know when this is gonna come out, but recently I just put out a project, Mentality with Mentality. It's like a commercial video and it got a lot of love. But the funny thing about that most people don't know, which I'm gonna break it down later, is that I filmed that back in 2023. And in 2024 is really when I started doing all my crew work and hiring I won't say large. I've been hiring more of crews to work with projects and it's been elevating the look, but that all stemmed from that one project in 2023. So basically I was similar to you, solo shooter for a while, just kind of did everything myself. I actually almost never hired people to help me. It's just if I needed to do interviews, I'm micing people up, I'm setting up the boom mic, I'm setting up the lights, I'm doing gaffing, gripping, everything myself.
Why is that?
I think control, there's a fear when you don't have control of stuff that it's not going to go the way you want.
Mhm.
So, and obviously, and money also. So if you're working with smaller budgets, you're working with smaller clients, it usually makes sense to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
But also when you just settle into that and you're just okay doing it, you're going to keep on attracting those clients and you're never going to push the boundary of hey, maybe I should have someone else do this. And so Mentality was the first time. I want to say, I'm probably forgetting some stuff, but I think there were a few projects where I did feel like I was missing something. I was I just feel like I'm not doing my best work. And for the most part, you can't really change that if you don't start bringing people in. So I planned out this whole thing of doing a few spec ads that were going to help, create the work that I want to attract and the clients that I want to attract. And one of them was a fitness, I want to get more into fitness, clothing, things like that. Fashion, kind of a blend of it. And so Mentality was a perfect opportunity to do a clothing brand. So a Nike type commercial, but it's also sports. So I could get, got a football player in there, got a kickboxer and had them do their thing. But I remember when planning it, as I wrote down my vision for it, I was like, I can't do this by myself. I need to have a crew. So it was a pretty small crew. I think it was 4 or 5 people that we had, a focus puller, first AC. And then DP, Joshan Anderson, great guy. And then I think, first AC, DP, me, I don't even think we had an audio person, which that's another area that, now I always bring on an audio mixer. But yeah, it was a very, very minimal, small crew. We had like a BTS person. I think that was it.
Yeah.
And we worked over the course of a day. But that project really grew me in the whole like hire help, because having Joshan there and having Hunter and Allie, who are our first ACs, just elevated everything. Someone building the camera for me, they were picking up on things that I normally miss. They're like, hey, you should put your transmitter here so the monitor can go here and blah, blah, blah. So they set things up properly. Having Joshan DP it and cam op allowed me to take a step back and actually notice these little things that as a solo shooter, you're so focused on getting a shot, you're going to miss stuff. Like you're going to miss that trash can in the back of the frame that if you just move that, it'd be a perfect shot. So having Joshan there allowed me to step back, but then it also allows extra minds, which we were just talking about this after I released it. There's a frame in there that was completely unplanned. So in my shot list, I had, all these different things to do. Let me rewind. After day one of filming, Joshan reached out to me and said his friend Christian wanted to edit the video. And I was like, I looked at his work. Great guy, by the way, Christian Duprez. I don't know if you
never heard of him. Never heard.
You gotta check out his work. Like incredible editor.
Are you from this area?
No, no, I'm from Sarasota, Florida, originally.
Lying.
Yeah, but I moved here.
How long ago?
2-3 years ago.
Bro, you lying.
Yeah. You know Sarasota?
Yeah, I moved from Northport. I grew up in Port Charlotte. You know what Port Charlotte is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up, I'm from Brooklyn, was raised in Port Charlotte, moved to Sarasota County, Northport, and I moved from Northport in 2018 to McDonough, Georgia.
Okay.
Which is like 45 minutes south of Atlanta. Lived there for 3 years, and I moved to Charlotte 3 years ago, December 2021. So I've only been here 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we moved around the same time.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's so crazy.
That's dope. Okay.
That's a weird connection.
Yeah, for real, bro. Not a lot of people know. Well, if you're from Florida, if you're from that area.
I'll say, usually I say Miami because that's where I was born.
Yeah.
And then in Sarasota, people are like, don't know where that is. And I'll say Tampa, and then they usually connect it. But that's actually
dope,
crazy.
Bro, that's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so Christian, editor, once I saw his work, I was like, yeah, he's got to be, doing this, because that's when I had the realization that, yeah, I'm okay at doing that kind of stuff. I can edit a video for sure. But there's people that are way more talented than me.
Yeah.
And if, with the direction of like what I want, they can probably create beautiful work.
Yeah.
So when I reached out to Christian, obviously he was down to do it. He jumped on. And when he started editing, he asked us to do an extra day of filming, which that brings me to the point of when you bring on other people, you get perspectives that you don't get alone. Like alone, I might have been like, this is all I need. We did one shoot day. Like, let's put it together. But Christian and Joshan actually were both like, hey, what you did was great. Day one was really cool, but we think you should add like a narrative piece, have a guy like deliver a like a voiceover, but let's film it. Like, let's film him doing the voiceover and like add it into the video, mix it in. So we did a full like second day of filming, and that changed everything. Like the piece is so much what it is because we did that second day.
Because you
really brought it together.
Somebody else's
you added
perspective.
Few people, and now they all put their perspective together, and you create better work.
No, that's fire, bro. So was it hard for you on that initial shoot that started the whole collaboration or team shoots going forward? Was it hard for you on that initial shoot to kind of step back?
Honestly, I wouldn't say so, because in a way it just felt like a bunch of friends just kind of like doing something together. I think before the shoot, I had a lot of nervousness about like, how do I do this? Like, how do I lead a group of people and make sure it goes well?
Yeah.
And definitely moving forward, like all of last year, there's definitely been different shoots where I noticed different things on set that, can be done better. But on that first one, it just felt like, and I think because it was a spec shoot, like it was just a for fun passion project.
Yeah.
There was less stress and less, there's not a client there over your shoulder making sure everything's going right.
Yeah.
We got to just be creative and have fun. And so we didn't even really assign titles even to what we were doing until after. So like now, obviously for crediting, I say like Joshan was the DP, and certain people like Christian was the editor. That is what it is.
Yeah.
But at the time, we literally just all came together and it was like, all right, Maurice is doing a project. Everybody's helping. Everybody pitch in. Like, I don't really care for titles. We're all just going to figure it out. But yeah, it just grew after that. And even during post, there was a lot of just collaboration. Like Christian obviously edited the video, but then I was like, who's doing sound? You know, we needed Foley, audio, and all this stuff. And
Yeah.
I think it was Christian that recommended someone else as an audio, like sound mixer. Charles Gaddis, amazing dude as well.
Yo, that's crazy.
You know
I
Charles?
just reached out to him.
Oh, that's
He's
crazy.
supposed to come through on the podcast later this month.
Bro.
Because I wanted to get somebody in that does sound. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
to touch
definitely,
base on
definitely.
everything film, you know?
He's so cool. You'll enjoy that a lot.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and that's the other thing about this whole project. It set the stage for my 2024 because doing it and realizing how many people I could meet by just asking people to be on a project, and that was for free. No one got paid.
Yeah.
So everyone, which shocks me that they were all so willing to jump in on a project with someone they don't know absolutely for free, was amazing. But there were so many connections. Like I met Charles through that. Then I believe Charles introduced me to another audio guy because I had some questions on gear. And we talked for like 45 minutes and he gave me all this advice that I've never heard before. So there's just, the art of collaboration is really cool. And I think Charlotte is a great community for that. Like people are just like you reaching out even. It's just like people just do this here. People are just willing to meet you for coffee and chop it up.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're doing cool stuff together.
Yeah. The crazy thing is I actually saw like an ad for like this video agency. And in the ad, they mentioned Joshawn, how he was one of the people that was successful that took their course, right? And he was located in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I was like, yo, let me see if I can find this dude. So I just reached out and me and him sat down. We had coffee one day. Yeah. We had coffee, chopped it up, and he was a really cool dude. He gave me some great insight. And we never actually got to work together, but it's just kind of crazy how these names.
Yeah, and that's the thing though. Like I will do the like coffee meetings. Like if you had asked me for coffee with nothing else attached, like I'll do it. Because it's just like great to meet people. And then what ends up happening is sometimes I won't have a job for someone for a long time. And then just the right thing pops up and the right person comes to mind. You're like, wait, you know, maybe I have a job where they're like, we got to have like 3 C200s and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I know someone that has a couple. You're going to come to mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I usually just meet people and just chop it up. If we hit it off, cool. Maybe we'll work together. If not, it's like, it's still cool. We pass off advice and whatnot. And then I'll usually like just write down like the names in a database just so I have them. Like I have a list of, I think 70 something creatives that I've just connected with since moving to Charlotte, but they're all, it's not just Charlotte people, but
No, I got you.
I refer to that all the time. When I need a project, I'm like, okay, who do I know? Who's in this city? So connections are really big to me. Even before I started doing crew work, I started making connections, and then it's like, it just all makes sense now.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think networking is one of those things that you just have to do. You know what I mean? And that's part of this podcast, right? Is building connections, meeting new people. And what would you say is the most, like, the project that was a turning point for you in your career? Or
That's a good question.
Or what has been the highlight of your career so far? A project that you've done that you feel like, yo, this one right here has a special place in my heart.
That's a tough question because I feel like I treat, like I just keep moving forward. So even if I do something really that I really enjoyed at the time, usually if you ask me that question, it's whatever is the latest thing I worked on, because I'm trying to like take everything up a notch as I go. But I will say the one project that was kind of a big turning point even before Mentality was Kicks and Froze. So I did a commercial for a local shoe, let me get this right. I did a commercial for a local sneakerhead company, centered around women, Black women specifically. And just like, you know, sharing, it's like a community. Melissa Chanel runs that. And so I don't really know. I think I did a paid project first. I got hired on through another like social media agency, Clickbait Creative, which used to be based in Houston, but now it's based here in Charlotte. So Crystal brought me on to do this like narrative commercial piece for Kicks and Froze. So that's the first exposure I got to them. And as soon as I talked to them, I was like, wait, I think I want to do a commercial for them. So again, with the spec projects, which it didn't work out this way, but my initial plan was to make it a 3-in-3 series thing, where I did 3 ads, 3 different markets or, you know, areas of expertise. And then I was going to release them with like a BTS episode, and like, just, it was going to be this whole thing. I picked it up off of these guys that did, you've probably seen this if you're on like TikTok or even on Reels, 7 on 7. they did like 7 ads in 7 days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they like posted it, like blew up.
Yeah.
They actually, I think, started the production company
Yeah.
off of that series.
Yeah. I think I seen that. Like they
It's
had
like these 2
I think
guys.
they did like this Prime
Yep.
commercial
That's
was one
the
of
one.
them. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
After seeing that, I got inspired. I was like, let me do, they did 7 and 7. It's very cool. But I was like, let me do 3 like really focused, crewed out like commercials. And the only reason it didn't release how it did was because I spread them out so much. With passion projects, you can plan them out and then you get paid projects and then it gets pushed and pushed and pushed. So they ended up releasing very, very different times. I think Kicks and Froze came out in 2023.
Yeah.
Very shortly after we shot it. Or no, I think it took a few months, but we got that one out. Mentality took about a year and some change to get out. Like we just got it out like December 30th last year.
Okay.
Or maybe 31st, yeah. But it took a whole year to actually get that done. And then I never did a third one, technically. Like I did one, but it didn't meet my standards.
Okay.
So I haven't released it. But when I initially did those, my goal was to like focus more on the behind the scenes and like the process and how we brought it all together. But then fast forward to now, it's just like I'm still showing the process, but that was the turning point. So the very first one of that series, Kicks and Froze, was the point where I realized I didn't have a full crew yet for that one. It was still very, very small. But even on that one, I said, hey, I'm going to bring on another director and just co-direct it just so I can learn from someone else's perspective and see what he has to like say. And that has changed everything. So that was through meeting Chris, another Chris, Lomartier. He's a director and editor in Charlotte. Very, very cool guy. And now we're actually like friends. So we met at a coffee shop, same thing, similar. Just I saw a project of his, very, very good work. Like amazing, amazing stuff. And I was like, I got to know the director. So I DM'd him. We met up for coffee. We hit it off. Ended up like meeting each other's wives and like hanging out, having game nights and whatnot. Just literally just kicking it off. And then eventually I was like, hey, like, would you be down to hop on this project with me? I want to do the spec project for Kicks and Froze. Or actually, before that, it wasn't even for Kicks and Froze.
Okay.
My goal was, again, with spec, which is also why I never released this as like a spec project thing, because spec means that you don't talk to the company. Like you just get stuff and you make something and you maybe send it to them in hopes that they see it, or you post it on socials. But we actually talk to every company. So Mentality, like I reached out to them, they sent us product. So technically it was like just an ad. Same thing with Kicks and Froze. We had a meeting with the owner, Melissa. We talked through what she would want, and then we did an ad for her. It was just self-paid, self-funded ads.
Okay.
But my whole goal was to do a Nike commercial at first. I was like, let's just do something for Nike, like very flashy, cool video, and just post it and maybe go viral. And that was my goal. And Chris was the one that kind of like grounded me. He was like, yo, why don't you just attach it to an actual local brand instead of trying to get the attention of Nike? Just get Charlotte's attention and people will notice like you did that thing for blank. And so that's when Kicks and Froze came in, because I was like, well, I just did something for Kicks and Froze. He looked at their brand. He was like, it was a perfect blend, because it's a sneakerhead company. So we can feature Nikes and Adidas and like whatever sneakerheads. But we ended up doing I think everybody in the video wore Nikes. Okay. Except for, I think one person had Asics. But for the most part, we made a Nike video. Yeah. That's dope. And so, but it was able to actually get used on a platform in Charlotte. And I think that was a turning point, because one, I hired someone to help me. So Chris co-directed it with me. I operated the camera. He kind of like took the directing role of like watching the feed and making the micro adjustments, things like that. Yeah. We had an audio mixer with us, getting sound. And then I think that was it. We lit everything ourselves, which looking back, probably wouldn't do that again. I'd probably bring on more people to help. Yeah. But it was a turning point because that's where I started. Gotcha. I hired, and Chris edited, I colored. So there was a perfect split of like, people helped me get it done, but it wasn't huge yet. It was just like 3 people. Gotcha. Then Mentality, I expanded it to like, I think a total of 7 people touched that project. Sorry, I lied on Kicks and Froze. I think it was 4, because Asha Brown helped us with the script writing. Gotcha. So yeah, there was just like, that was the beginning point of starting to work with crews. And then that's when I started believing in it, because when I saw what Chris, I think he sent me a V16 as my first thing I could see. He wouldn't let me see the V1, V2, whatever. Finally, when he got to like V16.
What's a V16?
Version 16, sorry.
Okay.
So like he went through 16 variations of the edit before he even let me take a look.
Got you.
And I was begging. I was like, bro, just let me see. And he was like, let me get it to a place where I can show you. When I saw what he did, I was like, this is why I have to work with people, because he did things that I don't do in editing.
Okay.
Like I would call myself a very linear editor. Like I think I edit more so like if you were watching a movie, there's not anything really flashy in a movie. There's not any transitions.
Yeah.
It's kind of just shot to shot to shot.
Yep.
That's how I see things when it comes to editing. So I'm bigger on, let's make the scenes that we shoot composition
Yep.
make sense in the story, drive you through. You don't need anything flashy.
Yeah.
But on this particular piece, if we're going for a Nike vibe, you have to get flashy.
Facts.
And so we shot it in a cool way. But what Chris was able to take from the footage and turn it into was like beyond what I could even comprehend.
Yeah.
And so that's when I realized, like, wait, if I give someone else my vision, they could actually edit it better than I could. Like maybe I could have gotten to what Chris did.
Yeah.
But it would take me months to like learn new skills. There was things he was doing that I don't even know how to do still.
Yeah.
As far as editing goes and like just motion graphics and things like that. So that was my first like spark of like, wait, I think I should try and get more people to help me on projects. So Kicks and Froze was definitely, for me, it was my coolest piece. I just recently unpinned it from my page because there's other pieces. Like I said, I move on. It's like there's other things that I technically are better. Like I think from a lighting perspective and from a story perspective, I think I have better commercials.
Yeah.
However, that commercial was huge for just getting a foot in the door of full production crew work.
Got you. So my next question for you is what are your thoughts on niching down? And do you have a niche?
Man, you got some good questions, bro.
Thank you, bro.
That's a really good one.
It is though. I think it's an important one.
Yeah, because I struggled with that for a while. I think niching down is important. I will say this. I used to be the complete opposite. If you asked me about 2 years ago, what are we in, 25? 3 years ago, like about when I first moved to Charlotte, that's when I first started doing the production thing and trying to build my business. At that time, I was very anti-niche because I did everything. And I was proud of it. Like I was like, I do photo, video, social media management, strategy, like all the things. And there's nothing wrong with exploring that. So that's why I would say I'm a little bit on the fence on it. Like I think niching down naturally is the way to do it. Like for me, one of my friends, Dan, he's the guy that I moved in with, Daniel Karai, amazing director, also like very, very creative. But he's the one that like we moved in together. He pushed me to freelance. And he was like, bro, I promise you, you're going to love freelancing. Just do it. And he's the one that told me, he'd ask me every few months, he'd be like, so what do you like to work on? Like, he wouldn't say what's your niche, but that's kind of what the question was, like, what's your niche?
Yeah.
And I'd always be like, I don't know, bro. I like doing everything. And he would just be like, okay, cool. That's fine. And so then he would give me work that would be all over the place because at the time I just like doing everything.
Yeah.
But over the course of a year and a half, I started realizing like I'd be on the way to a shoot and I'd just be like sad or just like I don't want to do this. And I started writing down, like I started thinking like, okay, I don't really love going to events.
Yeah.
Like I don't really love doing like social media, like content shoots. What I realized as I started thinking of like, what are the things I don't like to do? It was all the stuff that you can't really plan.
Yeah.
Like you can't really plan an event. You can't do all that stuff.
Yo, bro, listen, when I say you reading my mind, bro, I have been missing everything since I started, right? And over the years of doing all these different kind of filmmaking, all these different spaces, I found that I hate shoots that I cannot control. Bro, I love to be able to control light, audio. I want to be able to control everything.
Yeah.
And there has to be some room for creativity in there, of course, right?
Yeah.
But like weddings, I enjoy weddings. I enjoy capturing a celebration for someone. I enjoy capturing that moment for them and knowing and blowing their mind when they see the edit and being like, wow, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great feeling. But a wedding is just so, you just don't know what's going to happen.
It's very uncontrollable.
It's uncontrollable, bro. You don't know what's going to happen. Someone can say one thing and the bride kind of go left. Thank God I haven't been in no crazy, crazy situations, but working with photographers, it's like
Yeah, there's always an element of surprise.
Yes,
like
bro.
you just,
Always.
it's not your own crew, all that stuff. I feel the same way. We do weddings also.
Yeah.
And I think the part I enjoy about it is what you just said. Exact same thing. It's a storytelling of someone's love story. So I think it's a very important piece. But yeah, there's so many uncontrollable factors. And so like, even with weddings, what I've tried to pivot towards is we do more of like a documentary style of capturing it. And we'll get those interviews, like the actual things we can control. Like we'll sit someone down, we'll light it, we'll mic them up, we'll have like all the sources. So we have a general backbone to the story. And then all the crazy stuff that happens throughout the day, we'll get what footage we can and put something together.
Put it together. That's what creatively the edit kind of post really
post
take
is
control.
Really important.
That's cool, man.
But yeah, I realized I didn't like doing uncontrollable stuff. So I just started cutting out those event shoots, which again, when you first start, you're grinding, you're hustling, you're taking everything you can. So that first year, I kind of had to kind of make the money I needed to make to really grow. I just took everything I could. So I'm doing random shoots here, random shoots there, photo, video, all the stuff. But then going into year 2, I started realizing I don't like events. I don't like this. I don't like that. Started liking photography less, which that's a rough statement, but it's not that I don't like photography, but I realized I needed to dedicate more time to video, and I can't really do the half and half, or you know how some people will reach out. Can you do both? Can you do photo and video? It's possible, especially when you have hybrid cameras.
But you're going to sacrifice something somewhere.
No matter what, no matter how, you can be the best person in the world. If you're doing both, you're sacrificing something.
Facts.
Because you're going to miss a moment, or you know what I mean? Like you're going to be pulling out your photo camera. And the way I did it, I would do separate cameras because I have Blackmagic. That's not a photo hybrid camera. So I'd have like a Blackmagic on one strap and a Canon on the other to shoot photos. And what I realized was in big moments, like let's say with an artist, huge moment, and I'm having to decide, like, do I want to get video of this?
Tough.
Or do I get photos?
That's tough.
Can't do both.
That's very tough. That's very tough.
So I don't know, just naturally I niched down because of just recognizing what I enjoy. And that's why now, if you ask me, I would say my the 3 things I like to work in is fashion, music, and fitness or sports. Like that's like the industries, but doing commercial work within those industries.
More control. That makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Hey, are you a beginner videographer looking to turn your passion into a thriving business? I want you to join me for an exclusive collaboration call designed specifically for newcomers like you who are ready to make a mark in the world of videography. Whether you're struggling with technical skills, marketing your services, or simply looking for direction, this call is your first step towards a successful career. Click the link in the description below to reserve your spot on our next collaboration call and start your journey to success today. I'm looking forward to talking to you soon. Bless yourself. As you begin to get busier within your career, how has that affected like your family life? Has that caused any struggles? If so, how have you overcome them?
That's another good one. I got married a year and a half ago. So in the middle of like building the business, and we're still building the business for sure. But like in the midst of that, got married. My wife Jaslyn moved to Charlotte. We moved in together and started doing all the things. And so there's been like beautiful things with that. Like she's helping on the video side of weddings, as well as admin work for both weddings and MV2. So she's like answering emails, like building out proposals, and she's growing in that, learning how to do call sheets and all the stuff to hopefully become a producer on the MV2 side. So we've been like integrating, which is very cool. And it wasn't forced at all, because the one thing I've met so many in the wedding industry, I'm sure you have to, like just photo video couples. Like wife does photos and then eventually drags the husband to do video. And every time I've met some of them, like it's usually one person that wasn't doing anything creative, and then through some pressure they end up doing like whatever the other person needed, like video or photo.
And they're usually they don't really seem happy.
That's what I was gonna say. I didn't want to say it, but like they don't seem all the way excited to do it. It's more so like the wife needed help, so I picked up a camera, and now she can make more money. So it's beneficial to both of them, because you're bringing in more money. But in this case, it was actually more so interest. So Jazz was just like, we had 2 brides for weddings that were like, bring your wife, because they knew we were newlyweds, and they were like, we're gonna pay for her to come here too. Like, just bring her. She doesn't even have to do anything. Just have her come chill, eat. I want to meet her.
Yeah.
So those 2 brides, Jazz came, met them. We had a great time, but she saw the amount of work that I was putting in to like get shots and stuff. So, because I'm sure you probably know, like, it's not just necessarily pulling out your camera and shooting.
No, bro.
It's running around and mic up the people giving speeches and set up lights upstairs.
Directing. You're directing.
Yeah,
as
I'm
well,
directing
bro.
and doing all the stuff. And so she saw that and she was like, all right, I'm helping. Teach me how to lift this light stand and put the light on. And so at the wedding, I was literally live teaching her, like, all right, this light goes on that stand. You got to screw it this way. And so we did the first one.
Yeah.
Day went way easier than normal because I had someone helping me.
Yo, bro, game changer.
Second one, which we went into it from the beginning. She's like, I'm helping you like for the whole day. Changed everything. Just having someone there to be like, what, you need a battery? I got it right here. Instead of me having to be like, hold on 1 second. Let me go run and grab something. And then it just becomes a hassle. Yeah. So, because that was the worst one-man banding was the weddings,
bro.
Like
you got to be built different, bro. Seriously, you got to be built different to shoot weddings. And when I shoot weddings solo, like, I don't think people really realize it, but the photographer and the videographer sometimes play more of a role than even the coordinator at times. Because the coordinator, sometimes they be falling back. And it's like, okay, we got to lead people. Okay, where's family? Okay, what time would you like to do family photos before or after? You know what I mean?
You take on the role of coordinator. You're directing the video. Like, you're managing emotions, and you kind of, because the tough thing too, when you direct a video, there's parts of this, but you don't necessarily have to make the actor or whoever's in it feel good about themselves, because they're professional. So you don't need to be like, great job, bro. Like you're doing great. But when you're doing a wedding, you kind of have to.
You have to.
Because, and I've noticed this even myself sometimes, I have to correct this like every wedding I go to. I can't just be focused on the image and not talking to the bride and groom.
Yo, bro.
And when you solo shoot, that's kind of all you do, is you're just kind of there like, oh, this shot looks good. Okay, let me frame it over here. And they're like standing there awkwardly like, like they'll be like, what do I do with my hands? That's the biggest thing you always get. What do I do with my hands?
Yeah.
And that's a symptom of you being a cinematographer.
Yes.
You're locked normally on a set. If you were the cam op, your only job is the cam op. You don't got a client manage. You don't got it. But on a wedding, you have to do it all.
Yeah.
Unless you bring on the help, which then takes off a little bit of that, like my wife being there. If she's not operating the second cam, she's talking to the bride and the groom like, hey, you guys are doing great. Hey, let me fix your hair real quick. Oh, that looks awesome. Stuff that I'm just looking like, is my exposure right? Is my ISO right? Yeah. So yeah,
then
I
you
think
bring
that's
it
the
in post
thing.
and you're like, dag, her hair was a little off right here.
Yeah. And now it's your fault because you couldn't see everything, which is, so I think even in weddings, we've been like, now it's 2+ on every wedding. Like we always have more than one person, because like doing the solo it's just hard. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah, no, I agree. When it comes to the shoots that you can hire a team, would you say that it was hard for you? Was it hard for you to find clients that enabled you to hire a team? How did that transition take place for you?
Yeah, that transition was weirdly natural. I think, and I actually, anytime someone reaches out to me and asks, how do I find clients, or how do I do this, how do I do that? My biggest piece of advice is to just go out and do the work first. So just go do it for free for a brand that you don't do it for a brand that you want to pay you. Do it for another brand. Just get the work done so that now you can use it as a portfolio piece. Because there's a weird way of people just finding you once you start putting out the work. Like, it's just, you start putting it out on socials, you show that you're working with teams and your work has elevated. Clients naturally are inclined to have more available for you. You're going to get those higher budget clients when your website looks right. So part of me doing those projects was me knowing, I think for my first year and a half of operating my business, I didn't have a website because I used to have an old one. I took it down because I didn't like it and I wanted to rebuild it. And I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so it took me too long to rebuild it. I think it took almost 3 years for me to actually get my website done because, year and a half in, I didn't like the theme that I chose then. So I redid it to what it is now. And it just took me forever to build up. But part of that building up was getting the work that I wanted to go on there. So I knew it's going to be an elevated platform. So I can't just have like little videography projects of like someone's birthday party that I did a video of. I needed like commercial work that I can put a project page and people can go look through the project page and see we filmed it with this. This was the crew. And so once I did that, I feel like even to this day, when people will reach out to me, like I'll have friends, other agency owners that'll be like, hey, we want to send examples of your work to X client because they want to see if you can do this project. I now can strongly rely on send them my website. Like they can look through, they'll see our production quality and they'll, you know, they won't have any questions after that. Cause I get asked to do like real estate, for example. I have a few things coming up, but as of right now, I have nothing on my website related to real estate because I've literally never shot real estate. But someone reached out and they were like, hey, I think I have someone that wants to do real estate. Can you send a portfolio? And in the past, I would have been like, oh, well, now I got to go get a portfolio of real estate. But now because my portfolio is strong enough, I can just send it. And I was like, show them my website and tell them we can make it work for real estate because it's simpler than everything we've done. And once he did, he was like, oh, they love the work. You know, they're going to reach out. So yeah, I don't know. I think building a portfolio is super, super important for getting to the clients that you want. And then secondly, I would say, I had a thought about this. I think secondly, your confidence is higher to be able to like tell a client this is what the budget is. So when I first moved here, I was charging nothing. Like it was super low. And my friend Dan, we'd have conversations like every 6 months because I go through the crisis of like, I'm not making enough. I don't think I'm charging my worth. But I don't know what to charge. So then you go talk to a friend, and his philosophy made it even harder because he lives by the and I've heard this from a few people, but the value proposition of how much is the company worth? How much are they projected to profit off of your video, right? So if you make a ad for Nike, which this is his proposition actually makes a lot of sense. And I think about it often because I still don't really charge like this, but I probably need to. But he basically is like, if you're going to do a video for Nike, no matter what your day rate is or this or that, if you let's just say your day rate's $1,500 and Nike hits you up and they're going to do a campaign for such and such shoe that's going to launch on this date. If you know that Nike's going to profit like $6 million off of the release of the shoe, are you going to charge $1,500?
No.
Right. Because that's so much less worth. It's just too little. So he would always say that, which was like a more philosophical approach on pricing. But it always encouraged me to raise my pricing because he's basically like, bro, you're charging, let's just say $500 for a shoot, but it's for an investment firm where the minimum investment is $50K and they have over 500 clients. Like, bro, you can charge more than 500. Just say a higher number. So I think when you start doing the crew work, at that time I was still struggling to raise my price. I did raise it slowly, incrementally, month after month. I would just kind of like raise my price and realize that people still weren't saying no. And I was like, wait, so I am worth more, number one. But then number two, when I started doing the crew work, it's so much easier to pitch now because I'm like, yo, we're working with the full team. We got to staff 8 to 10 people for this project. We got to pay all these people. And so to the client, you're already worth more.
Facts.
Because it's not just one man band. Most clients think of everything as like, and it's our fault. We do it to ourselves. Because I one man banded for a year and a half, all my clients thought everything can be done by myself. So I did have to find like newer clients. But the cool thing is when you're not by yourself and you advertise yourself as a team and like you're working with crews on every single project. Now when you say a price, the client's not thinking, oh, this price is for one person. They're thinking, oh, we're getting a whole team for this price and they're going to do this level of work.
Makes sense.
So then they pay for it.
I was just having a conversation this morning with a friend of mine, and the concept of the conversation was 5 ways beginner videographers can find clients, right? And the first thing we brought up was niching down, right? And the second thing that I was talking to him about was finding out what the problems are within their business. You know what I mean? And
then trying to
find out their
that
goals too. Like every business will set out a goal for 2025. My goal is to reach $1 million. That was the example that I gave him.
Yeah.
Okay, so how much did you make last year? Last year we made $500,000. Okay, so how they need to make $500,000. All right, let me figure out what in their business isn't working so that I can provide a solution that'll help you make that 500 million. So if that, not 500 million,
500K, yeah.
500K. And if that 500K is made, what percentage, what would you be willing to invest
To pay me.
to pay me for that? You know, and then that changes the game, bro.
Yeah, because you're changing from which we are providing a service, but it's an investment because this investment is going to give a return.
Yes.
Believe it. Like whatever you think, you're going to get some sort of return on it. So if there is a way, the tough thing is with video, there's not a super trackable way. You can't track exactly why a customer decided to purchase with you, but you can track metrics on an ad.
Yes.
And that's the thing is like, okay, if this ad generated you this much revenue, what would you consider a worthy investment of that? Yeah. So that's that was whole Dana Karai's, like his mindset on that was the exact same. He's like, whatever they're going to profit, you should be making like what, 10, 15,
10 to 30 at the most, 30 being the most, 10 being the minimum.
You should be making something off of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you were a big part of why it was able to happen.
Facts.
I want to go back to
go ahead.
You had said something. Oh, niching down.
Yeah.
I want to say one more thing about that. So with niching down, I think I would say if you are a beginner, don't niche yet. I would say if you're a beginner, do all the things. Because for me, if I had niched down 3 years ago, I probably wouldn't be doing the stuff I am now.
Gotcha.
Because I didn't know I liked this.
Yes.
It took me doing everything to realize like, okay, maybe I don't like this as much as I thought. Like I sold my photo camera, got rid of all my photo gear, my lenses and stuff, and doubled down on video after I realized like, this is what I want to do. I want to direct. I want to DP.
Yeah.
I didn't know what those words even meant. Because I didn't go to film school. I don't have a history of like, being in film. So the industry was very different for me. The way I got like a foot in the door was through people like Daniel inviting me on sets as like a BTS guy.
Yeah.
And I would just ask everybody questions. I'm asking the first AC, why are you called first AC? What does that stand for? And they're like, oh, it's assistant camera. I'm like, okay, cool. What do you do? They tell me. And I get to see hands-on what that looks like and make a mental note of like, all right, I don't really want to do that. But what are you doing? Oh, I'm directing.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that look like for you? He's like, well, I monitor the shots. I'm making sure the lighting looks right. This, and that. Making sure the creative vision is being brought together. I'm like, okay, cool. DP, that's the same thing. Gaffers, grips. So I started learning just by being on set what I liked. And that's how I learned the names and the roles and all the stuff. Then I did everything, like I said, one-man banding, doing all the stuff.
Yeah.
And then eventually returned back to, okay, what was that thing I learned on the set? Oh, maybe I need one of those. Maybe I need a first AC on this one to like build the camera and pull focus. Maybe I need a DP to help like bring the vision to life and like operate the camera. And so that's why I would say at first, don't niche down. Figure out what your passion is.
Yeah.
By just doing all the things. If you're young and beginning.
Yeah. I think
just don't stay there.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, bro.
No,
but I think that it's essential because you don't know what you like until you find it. Sometimes in your mind, you might think, yeah, I just want to shoot fitness commercials. But you'll get to a point to where you shot so many fitness commercials and you're like, yo, I really don't enjoy this, Yeah. And it takes time. Sometimes it really does take time. But I guess a misconception about niching down as well is even if you do choose a niche, somebody's going to see your work that's not in your niche and say, hey, do you do video?
Yeah.
And that could potentially be an opportunity for you to do something else,
Exactly.
So
that's big. I think recently I've had a couple friends that are very, very talented at what they do.
Yeah.
Like wedding photography, whatever it is. And they'll come to me like, yo, I'm kind of bored. Like, I'm kind of sick of this. It's like, yeah, it's working. It's going well. The business is growing, but I want to do something else.
Yeah.
So one of my friends, he was like, how do I get into like fashion photography instead? And he wanted to ditch weddings and just do fashion. And I was like, bro, don't ditch it.
Yeah.
Because what you're going to end up doing is in 3 years or 4 years, however long it took you to get to this point doing wedding photography,
Yeah.
you're going to do fashion photography until you get to the point where you're like, I'm sick of this.
Yeah.
So I was like, do both.
Facts.
Just sneak it in when you can.
Yeah.
When you start to feel that, forgetting what that word is, like creative block,
Yeah.
right? Where you're just like, I don't want to do another wedding. I don't want to do another whatever. Organize a little fashion shoot. Grab a couple friends, do a little spec shoot or whatever you want, and let that passion drive you.
Yeah.
And I promise you the wedding's going to be way easier to now do because you alleviated that pressure of like, I can only do one thing.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Niching down doesn't mean you can't do other stuff.
Yeah.
Just you personally find your like the thing that you're really good at.
Yeah.
And just like double down on that and keep doing. Like for me, yes, I'll tell you it's fashion, fitness, sports, but the real like my real niche is just directing commercials. Like that's just really what it is as of right now. I'm actually trying to get into narrative work this year. Just sprinkling it in, just trying it out. Because again, you don't know what you like until you try it.
That's a fact, bro. So when you say getting into narrative work, one of the questions I was going to ask is what's next for you? So with narrative work, like just tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what do you mean specifically?
Yeah, I think even in the commercial work I do, I think there's a heavy focus on telling stories. So even if it's a commercial for a fashion brand, I want that commercial to have some sort of like message or story behind it that causes the viewer to think, which is very similar to like narrative, like a movie, a short film usually is meant to address an issue or cause you to think about something. So this year, one of my friends, Winnie, she wrote a short film and she asked me to direct it. So I'll be directing my first short film this year. I think we're filming probably middle of the year.
Okay.
Probably releasing at the end of the year and going to festivals and stuff like that. So I'm excited. I've been on a few short film sets with some of my friends, like Jared Wood's the director, Luke Fletcher's DP, and Dan's usually on those projects. But they've done feature films, indie, so all self-funded, as well as like a bunch of short films that went into festivals and things like that. So I don't know why he's calling me, but yeah, so I've done all those, like I've been on sets with those things, and even being on set, I didn't really love it. And so I've kind of written it off for a while, but I don't know, recently I've just been feeling like a little bit of a tug of like, I think I could do either short film work. I have one idea for like an actual, like full, like feature film just in the back of my mind, probably do it in like 30 years, but it's just there. Like I'm building on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just want to like try it out. But I think for me, being on set and not liking it, I think was just my position. So sometimes it's the perspective.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't really like feature or films, like short films. But the reality is I was doing behind the scenes, which at that level, a lot of things can feel repetitive or slow and it can kind of be boring for someone. But directing might be a whole different thrill, like to pull a whole story together.
Yeah. No, I got you. I could definitely see that being the case. Yeah. So I guess my next question for you would be to the beginner DP or director out there that's just getting started, or the you 8 years ago, right? What advice would you give to yourself knowing what you know now and what you experienced in these last 8 years?
I would say to myself 8 years ago, or to a beginning person, is don't be afraid of trusting others. Yeah. Because I think starting out, it's just that fear of like letting go of the control. Like we've been talking about this whole time. Like control is a big thing.
Yeah.
I like being able to control everything down to the post-production and the everything.
Yeah.
And what I realize is letting go of different aspects of a production isn't letting go of control. You're still directing it. You're still able, it's just management now.
Facts.
So I would tell myself way back, like let other people in, like grow with other people. Cause I think even if you're not doing commercial work, like let's take crew work out of it.
Okay.
Let's say you're a traveling concert photographer. That can be a very silo job. Like you do everything on your own. But what if you invited like one other person to just shadow you or just be like with you, and you start doing stuff together? You're going to grow exponentially faster than just doing stuff yourself. because there's just someone else to bounce ideas off of, someone else to grow off of. So I think I would tell myself, like, let other people in. Stop trying to silo yourself and do everything on your own.
That's wisdom right there, bro. That's definitely wisdom right there. Um, Man, Maurice, I really don't have any. I got more questions for you, but I
Yeah.
really want to have you come back another time, and maybe we could tackle a couple other aspects that are a little bit more on the creative side of things, man.
Yeah, I would love to.
Is that
This
cool?
is a cool conversation.
No,
I'll
it was,
definitely
bro.
wanna
It
come
really
back.
was, man. And guys, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you learned a lot from Maurice. Hey, Maurice, where can the people find you at to check out your website, check you out on socials and all of that?
Yeah. My page is MV2 Creative. So at MV2 Creative on basically everything: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all the stuff.
Okay.
And then my website is mv2creative.co.
Dope. So I'll make sure to link all of that in the description below, guys. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you give Maurice a follow. And again, brother, thank you so much for your time. It was a
Appreciate it.
pleasure, bro.
Yes,
Real
sir.
talk.
This
Thank
was
you,
great.
man. Peace, y'all.